Welcome to the dawn of a new era, an era where knowledge is the fuel for innovation, where expertise opens the door to endless possibilities, and where the future is shaped by those who are ready to lead. At SVCH, Silicon Valley Certification Hub, we believe in the power of next-generation professionals. We believe in you. In a world that moves faster than ever, where challenges arise that we've never faced before, it's not just about keeping up, it's about staying ahead. It's about mastering the tools of tomorrow to build the world we want today. Our globally recognized certifications are not just credentials, they're pathways. Pathways to mastering critical knowledge from Agile and Scrum to data management, innovation, AI, and beyond. Whether you're a seasoned executive or a rising star, SVCH is here to elevate your expertise to the next level. Together, we will shape industries, transform organizations, and break through the barriers of the past. We invite you to join the new wave of leaders and innovators, prepared, confident, and ready to face challenges the world has never seen.
Welcome to SVCH Talks, where innovation meets inspiration, and every conversation sparks transformation. Here we unlock the future, share cutting-edge insights, and empower you to lead the way in a world driven by knowledge and discovery. Let's elevate together, because the next breakthrough starts here.
We're thrilled to have you join us for a day filled with insightful discussions, groundbreaking innovation, and transformative learning. Today, you'll have the unique opportunity to hear from industry leaders as they share their expertise, experiences, and best practices. Before we move forward, remember that you can obtain the micro-credential for this event. Just follow the instructions on our website. Don't miss this chance to certify your participation and learning. Now we're ready to start. Let's dive into the broadcast that our team has prepared for you. Enjoy it.
Hello, good morning, everyone. Thank you for being today with us. Today we have Kash Mehdi, who is the Vice President of Growth at Data Galaxy. With over a decade of experience in scaling go-to-market functions for hyper-growth SaaS companies, he has played a pivotal role in organizations like Colibra and Informatica, contributing to significant milestones such as multi-billion-dollar valuations and successful IPOs. Thank you for being with us today, Kash. It's a pleasure to have it right now with the Silicon Valley Certification Hub.
Pleasure to be here, and thanks for having me, Daniel. And I've been reading your Data Management for Kids book, and I have a lot to talk about that. But today, I think we're going to be focusing on a key topic, which is really AI Ready Data Masterclass. So very excited to come on board. And as Daniel introduced me here, Kash Mehdi, I work as the VP of Growth at Data Galaxy, which is in the data and analytics governance space. And today I'm very excited to present to you some of the learnings working with a lot of different organizations worldwide. So the topic for today is really AI Ready Data Masterclass. As I've attended numerous conferences on this topic, worked with numerous organizations, I'm very compelled to bring these learnings over to more people that can know what AI Ready Data is. So I'm going to kick off the presentation with a few slides just to kind of set the stage. Like I said, Kash Mehdi, VP of Growth Operations and Strategy at Data Galaxy. So for today, what to expect, I'm going to be talking a bit about what exactly is AI Ready Data, the role of data literacy for roles like chief data officers, the impact of AI and literacy need on organizations. I will also present some of the insights on data workers. And if you have time, I also have a great story from one of our customers, Technip Energies, where leading organization that is in the energy transformation space, and how they're driving digital transformation with data. And of course, would love to get any questions from people attending this talk online. So Just a confidential notice, of course, a lot of these slides, I'm sharing for this presentation here. If in case you want to share some of this, feel free to, but feel free to tag me and my organization so we can also help support, look at what you're saying out there. So let's get into the topic itself. What exactly is AI ready data? You might hear about this where today around the world, every data leader, organization, even a lot of leaders across the world are talking about AI. There's a shared mindset around should we regulate AI or should we innovate with AI? And we've seen this, at the Paris AI Summit, where even some of our government officials in the U.S. talked about, leading with innovation with AI, whereas some European leaders also talked about innovation around AI itself, as well as regulations around this. So going back to the basics, the definition around AI ready data is very simple. So it's really about fitness of data for your specific AI use case. It's really making sure your data is fit for a purpose to be used in exploiting AI initiative. And the proof of readiness comes from various components here. So one, I'm using an example of a retail company that may want to personalize experiences for their customers. This year the Eagles won the Super Bowl. So imagine you're a customer and you want to buy some swag from like one of the companies out there. Let's pick Walmart, Amazon. You go on the website and you shop for things. For any company to monetize on this experience, give you a better experience, if they know that you're an Eagles fan, they could likely recommend some of the products which you may eventually end up buying because you love this brand, right? So using this example, AI wouldn't be successful if companies don't have data that is fit. So in terms of fitness, think about any retailer. They need to know you as a customer, your purchase history, detail enough for them to really build these experiences when you go online to shop for products. Second, they also need to be very clear on the different use cases. Like, are we looking to optimize customer experience? Are we looking to provide recommendations on a specific product that you like? So what's also important is AI ready data. It's not ready unless and until you have it fit for purpose. Second, you want to be able to have a clearly defined use case. Then in order to support these use cases, you also need context around these use cases. So it could be, in order for me to provide you a product recommendation, I need to be able to understand your past purchases, clicks that you're making, any search history that you have on the platform, platform like Amazon.com or Walmart.com, what have you. And then I also then need to focus on the AI technique that I could use. So most of the retailers use collaborative filtering technique, which is one of the commonly used AI techniques for a lot of retail stores to provide you these recommendations when you go online to shop for products. So in summary, AI ready data, it's your ability to prove the fitness of data for a specific AI use case, and it determines whether your data is ready or not ready for AI. And this is where fitness is important, the use case that you're looking to exploit with AI, the context that supports this use case, as well as the technique that you could use. And here, this is not just an AI engineer that going out there and cooking up a new AI model or large language model, but really it's a concerted effort that requires sponsorship from your executives, leaders who are responsible for data, making sure your information about customers is productive, as well as different lines of businesses who may have unique use cases to deliver for their stakeholders. So this is what AI ready data is. And feel free to, if you have any questions, comments, feel free to put that in the chat window. I'll be monitoring that. Daniel and I will monitor that. Now, I want to highlight a survey that was done by Salesforce. So they surveyed over 14,000 global workers across 14 countries. This survey is called The Promise and Pitfalls of AI at Work. What's interesting is they found out there's high level of adoption around AI. So some of the statistics that came out from the survey itself suggest that 55% of the workers are using generative AI tools that are unapproved within the organization. 40% of the workers are using generative AI tools that are banned at workplace. So this is really interesting. Whether you control it, whether you want to innovate with it, people do have access to a lot of these tools and technologies, which begs the conversation around how do we approach, in this growing landscape of AI, how do we approach literacy of people? How do we think about AI and its application on how we how we use data for different use cases? So very interesting. There's a link here for the survey. I'm happy to share that as a follow-up so you can take a look at the survey itself. Now, this brings me to one of the key topics around AI itself. So while people are starting to use a lot of AI tools, it's increasingly important for organizations to clearly define safe and ethical use of generative AI tools for their workers. And here are some examples. The top 3 safe uses could be only using company-approved tools and programs. Of course, that's pretty straightforward. Second one is not using confidential company data in prompts, like when you're interacting with open APIs, AI, channels. Here, do not use any confidential company data unless this tool is vetted and it's marked by your information security team to be safe to use. Third one is also never using personally identifiable PII customer data in prompts for these tools. So today, I think one of the biggest concerns that I see around the use of AI is, when I interact with these AI technologies, where's my data stored? Is it within the country or is it leaving the country? And that's where you see a lot of the different policies that are coming, regulations that are coming to make sure all of these technologies conform to sovereignty laws. Data sovereignty is a big component when it comes to privacy, security, and this is where you see, in the US at least, a lot of the regulations around, Consumer Protection Act, or in Europe you see GDPR, or in Latin America, Brazil, Mexico, Colombia, all of these different countries have their own regulations to protect information. Now, in addition to a safe AI use, there's also ethical ways where you could think about applying common sense with these generative AI tools. So always fact checking the output that you get from generative AI tools, not just copy pasting and taking that as a fact, but have a loop between AI and humans to course correct, fact check any of the information you're getting out of these technologies as output. And then also being able to use tools that have been validated for accuracy, because today, all of the large language models, of course, these are all different products that different companies are providing, and each perform at a different level. So it's important to understand the accuracy of these models that get used so you can make sure you're able to fact check, but also validate the output when you're using these technologies. And of course, still continue to use company-approved generative AI tools. So I would highlight that here. So what's interesting is in the last 2 years, I've ran a CDO Masterclass. It's a global initiative that has gone to at least 30 plus countries covering North America, Latin America, Europe, all the way down to India. And while we see today AI is taking a strong foothold, it's top of mind as a board level conversation. It's a conversation with any chief data officers, AI officers. But we gathered a lot of different data leaders from across various regions, and we asked them, hey, AI is top of mind for everybody, but what do you see are the key components that will make you successful? And we ran a poll, based on the options that you see on the board here. Pick the top three that are top of mind for you when it comes to AI. So what's interesting is a lot of the leaders pointed towards data governance. Uh, some of them talked about data and analytics stewardship. Of course, makes sense because for any given organization, analytics is the largest consumer of data. And a lot of leaders were also looking to have roles and responsibilities defined, stewardship defined around the analytics processes. And then you also have third one, they have top of mind to create AI ready data. And I previously in previous slides explained to you what do we mean by AI ready data and fit for purpose, context, use cases, AI technique, and other things. And I put in observability as well here, which is really real-time monitoring the health of data. So which came very close to getting AI ready data. So what's clear is for many of the leaders that are looking to unlock the value from AI and data, they see governance as the top priority, which is really getting your data context right, getting the basics right, making sure data is appropriately defined, has ownership, it has the enriched context, which can then amplify the use of AI and other things. So this was one of the key things, the basic building blocks that is going to fix your AI or ambitions, if you will. And one of the key things I'm also reminded is one of the leaders mentioned, Kash, we, I know we are our C-suite executives are talking about going big with AI, but this leader candidly shared that my challenge today is we never had a data literacy program. We never, got a successful data governance initiative. Our people, like some of the sellers don't even think that they are anywhere involved with data because anytime they type something, they're creating data. So what this leader focused on is I need to make sure my people are educated when they create data, they understand their role in terms of data creation, data consumption, and this is really, really critical for us to move in concert to unlock the value with AI. So I thought it would be interesting to share some of my learnings here with you and what I'm seeing in the market. Next big piece I want to highlight here for you is while data governance is a key topic identified in one of the surveys here. My next question is really, what are the foundations around being successful with generative AI? How can organizations think about being successful? And here's, based on my experience working with organizations, here's what I think could be very helpful for any organization or data leader that's doubling down on AI. One, have a generative AI policy. So organizations need to have clearly defined guidelines on how AI can be used at work. And this is very important aspect. It should be dealt both at the executive level as well as the frontline worker level. So second big piece here is the employee aspect. So it's also increasingly important for organizations to train and educate employees on safe and ethical use of generative AI, where, what are the top three safe uses? Like you're only using company approved tools, or you're using prompts that don't have confidential data or PII data, things like that. The third component here is also data governance, which is the foundation that can help you be successful with AI, where you can define roles, the context around data, being able to classify your data in one place. And then lastly, technology can also add a big catalyst, can act as a catalyst to accelerate your initiatives around AI. So how do I have a ready to use platform like a data governance platform that can help me understand what data do I have in my organization? Where does it come from? If any questions, who do I go ask about this? Very important to have these components. So generative AI policy, have a clearly defined policy, educate your employees, define your governance, make sure your data has appropriate context, classification, and then technology that can also help you show and demonstrate the work you're doing so you can have something measurable. And some of the initial use cases could be, without having to boil the ocean, think about roles and responsibilities, where this is where you could also identify within your organization who are all your producers, who are all your data consumers. So you also need to map these actors so you can take appropriate use cases to these actors. And then previously we talked about AI ready data. So this is where, once you have these components in place, think about a use case where you could have all of your AI ready data in a single registry where people can access and look at all of the data sets that they could self-service. They're being tagged and certified as, yes, this is AI ready data. It is ready to be used. And lastly, AI policy execution, where check your policies, tag your AI ready data with policies and standards so you can actually see what data meets your policy standards that are set by your leadership or your frontline leaders. It's very important. So without having to go into details, I'm looking at the time here. Step one, really, have your sources registered, map your producers and consumers, capture a list of AI ready data. Next is really to certify them, define your key applications, educate your employees about what you have captured, and of course, create an end-to-end enterprise metadata graph. And this is where you would be on a path to creating AI-ready data within the organization. So I want to give you a highlight of what type of structure an organization could have. I want to give you a view into my experiences working with companies where they have different leaders in place. So this is an example from an insurance company where when I talk about creating these policies, standards, deploying technologies, or working on data governance initiatives. So this was an insurance company that had a structure at the highest level. They had a executive leadership committee, and this is where this is the committee that's approving the vision, that's approving the strategy. Second up, the data leadership. These are all the high-level decision makers around various initiatives. So they had things like data product owner. They had leadership around architecture and engineering. They had a head of analytics, head of data governance, and then also a PMO office, like a Scrum Master, if you will. And underneath the data leadership, they had business and technology functions where, of course, as you can imagine, an insurance company has departments like underwriting, claims, actuary, and analytics, risk control, all the way down to various things here. So it's also a good view for you to see how an organization is structured. Now, think about if you're thinking about deploying AI use cases, think about what value these use cases could bring for different teams. In fact, the customer, one of the insurance customers I was working with, they had a very interesting use case around AI. They wanted to understand the common causes of claims so they can, of course, understand the common causes of claims to provide a better experience for their policyholders so they can prevent future claims and increase profit margin. So this could be an AI use case. So for me to deploy an AI use case around this, I need to have AI-ready data that understands the common patterns around claims itself, right? So For large organization, that this gets increasingly complex. The reason I'm pointing out the org structure here, uh, as you work with different organizations, whether maybe you're already in a role today, you need to understand the complexity around different actors that are present across different functions, pockets of the organization. So for you to be fully successful with AI, you have to really think about the context, the use cases, and then deploy AI from that standpoint. So here's the example that I want to share, common value, what it could mean for organizations here. So of course, the biggest value you could bring is to your frontline data workers. So when it comes to being successful with AI, you need to make sure each actor in your front lines is successful. Like if you're a data analyst, you need to be able to find data that you trust so you can accelerate the process of creating reports. If you're a data scientist, you're applying different predictive models on your data. You need to understand policies, standards. You want to stay in compliance with regulation, as well as you want to have flexibility to innovate, because you also don't want to over regulate people at the expense of innovation. You want to have a right balance for these actors. If you're a data steward, this is where it's very important to know, everybody speaks the same language, because data stewards mostly they're working under the a data governance organization, sometimes part-time, full-time. Their job is to make sure people speak the same language. Sometimes for you as customer, for me as client, how do we tailor this together? Data architects, their architects are building a blueprint around data. So they need to, capture company-wide data. So imagine you work for a bank and the bank now launches a new credit card. How do you measure the performance of the credit card? What is your customer demographics? What cities have better adoption rate for a credit card product? So data architects on the other side, they're modeling information about this credit card, like the city, the different categories of a credit card, whether it's a silver, gold, platinum card. All of this, their attributes are modeled in systems and applications. But for data architects to be successful, they need shared context. Again, going back to the importance of governance that can enable these actors. If you're an engineer, your job every day is to move your data from one place to another. So if you're a data scientist, you want to run a new initiative, new campaign, you need support from engineers to deliver you the data so you could go about doing your job. They can also, they are the ones that are looking at the health of data, observability, real-time health. If you're even a product owner, you want to understand, who's using what data for what purpose. So again, common business value, keep this in mind. This is very important as you get into the conversation with different people. So what I'm suggesting here is in the next slide, there's a way in order to help these actors in the organization, there's a way to give them a certified level of data. And here's a workflow that I propose. So AI ready data certification. How can you put certified data into the hands of your consumers? And this is where you could see first, a business stakeholder, of course, can go out there, identify a business use case for AI ready, like different data sets to certify, like, hey, I've identified, if you remember, customer recommendation or product personalization. Imagine, let's say you wanted to recommend somebody a product. As a business stakeholder, you have to identify, here are all the data sets around search history, click rate, different products that customers are interested in. Identify different data sets to initiate this process of certification. Again, the certification could be based on the fitness, the context, the use cases, and the technique to be used for your AI ready data. The second phase here could be AI engineers. Now they determine what technique can be used for the provided data set. They could build calculations, metrics, they could figure out what is the technical feasibility to make this use case happen. So engineers can talk about or be involved in this process to work on AI readiness. The third component is also, before you go further, it's very important to have policy validations. And these are policies, let's say, designed by chief data officer in the organization or the AI office, where multiple stakeholders are involved to craft these policies, but you also need a formalized way to check if the AI technique being used, it is conforming, it's not exposing your customer data, it's not exploiting the privacy of customers. It is also using data that we have consent from customers to use, right? So you need to make sure policy validation is done to stay compliant with regulations. And then if, let's say, the CDO office or the AI office finds out that, hey, this technique being used, it may be too much exploiting the rights of your constituents, they can, of course, request to rework with the business stakeholders as well as the AI engineers. And then lastly, once everything is validated, this data set can be certified by a final committee where all business stakeholders, remember the org chart that I was showing you, executives, data leadership, who can be involved here. This could form as a committee that can now certify this. In case they find something, they can always request this back to be reworked before a final certification is given. Now, companies that do this at speed, companies that stay focused on deploying the use cases, in my opinion, working with so many organizations worldwide, are the ones that are going to be more successful with AI in 2025 and beyond. So I wanted to highlight this particular component here. So now that you understand what AI-ready data is, you understand the importance of data governance in this area, let me also educate a little bit about one of the customers here. So literacy and business enablement is really future around data governance. So this is the part 2 of the presentation that I want to share with you. So when it comes to data governance itself, it's really about literacy of your people. So everybody in the organization understands their role, responsibility for working with data. So today, a lot of organizations invest in this chief data officer role, and a lot of these roles are designed with certain outcomes. So imagine you're working with a chief data officer for a bank. They might be more focused on a defensive type of use case, like comply with the regulations. Or sometimes CDOs are of type offensive CDOs, because you have defensive versus offensive use cases where maybe you need to be more bold in the market and you want to increase the efficiency of your workers so you could create better products, be out there in the market, innovate the market with more things. So this is where what's really important is understand the business value. So really governance is about literacy, but also it's extremely important for you to know, is it internal value or is it external value? Internal could be operational efficiency, being able to make sure all of your workers are literate about AI, safe and ethical use, for example, providing them self-service analytics, or regulations, driving customer experience, increasing revenue. Market has shifted the role of chief data officers from just being risk and compliance focused, we used to happen in the banking industry. Now, almost every organization have a chief data officer role, so it's very important. Now, there is a huge challenge around governance today. So I've been in the data governance space for the last 12 years, worked for numerous organizations, helped them with their initiatives. What I see here is there's still a lot of challenges to make data governance a reality. So for example, here, you could see chief data officers, for example, fail to get executive sponsorship. They need to deploy things they need support from their leaders. So executive sponsorship remains one of the big challenges. In fact, survey suggests that the average tenure of a chief data officer is 30 months, 2 to 2.5 years. Change management is another big problem faced by data and AI leaders, where people are used to going out there and using any open source tools or Excel spreadsheets. Their files that they, things laying around on a desktop and things like this. So in order for people to really drive a change, they need to understand the role they are playing in the organization. CDOs also need to have business understanding, strong business understanding. So if you are a leader for an organization, let's say you work for an insurance company, you need to understand how claims work. You need to understand how your work is going to impact policyholder experience, how your work is going to increase profit margin for the company, different products that we could create. Business literacy is also very important. Data leaders that don't have this literacy, they're at a high risk to make any impact for the organization, because you're not tying your business outcomes with the work that you're doing. Just cleaning data, defining data is not enough. You need to make sure you tie all these efforts to the business outcomes. Of course, things like data complexity, data is siloed for many companies. There are different data governance frameworks, school of thoughts. What's the right one? The right one is the framework where you consider the culture, you consider how your business operates, how your leadership makes decisions, what type of technology you're working with. So very, very important. And this is a reality of governance where a lot of the technologies even are sitting on shelfware. So very important to highlight that. And then the way I look at this is the role of literacy is very simple. Organizations that do this at speed will really deploy and unlock the value of data and AI initiatives. And this is where, on the left-hand side, what's important is connect your data challenges with business outcomes. And in the middle, as you see, your frontline people have a lot to say about data. Like, what does this KPI mean? Where does this customer data live? What are the usage guidelines around AI? Who owns this information? Is this data that I'm working with same as column X in system A versus column A or B in system Y? So people need to have this literacy around data. So what's really important from a data leadership, AI leadership perspective is to link your data challenges with business outcomes. And this is where simply just saying, hey, I have a data quality problem is not enough, because nobody cares. What's really important here is to connect that data quality problem to a business outcome. And let me give you a story around this and I'll pause for questions. I'll also invite Daniel for any questions here this is my last slide here. So I was working with an insurance company, and they had agents taking so many calls, and customers were put on hold so much that it was impacting the experience of customers buying this insurance product, because agents, one, did not have all of the history of the customer in one place. How many of you here, sometimes you have a problem, you call customer service and you tell them, hey, this is a challenge I need fixing, and you get transferred from one call to another? Extremely frustrating, right? Where you have to repeat your story and the person doesn't have all of the information. This could impact you as a customer, and you might go elsewhere to go buy the product that you need because there are so many competitors out there. So what was really interesting is the CDO at this organization realized that their people need to go out there, work in call centers at least for a day every quarter, to know where the root cause of this problem. And they came up with, because of poor data quality, our customer experience is impacted. By just doing that particular exercise, they had executive sponsorship from leaders who supported this data and AI initiative for this person. So again, this is my last slide. With that being said, I'm going to pause sharing my screen. But I'll also invite Daniel and for the attendees, if you have any questions, comments, I'm happy to take any questions here and answer. You could put your questions in the chat, and I can share that there as well. Yeah.
Hi, Kash. Thank you for this amazing presentation. So, yeah, I got one question from the audience. So they're asking if there are like one specific parameter or like what kind of parameter they can be like trying to measure uh, about the topic that you've been discussing about this AI readiness. If there like a specific pain point or some yeah parameter value that you can take a really better understanding or better look of it.
Yeah. So I think what I would say is today topics like data readiness is very important to be able to be successful with AI. So you can't just have AI come into your organization, you onboard a new tool, and expect is going to solve for a lot of the challenges you have. I think what AI is good at is to identify patterns around data. It can uh, classify your data nicely. It can tell you what information you have in the organization, but you still need the human loop. So but it's not going to create value for you just understanding patterns, classifying information. While it has its own value, it's limited. So a clear way to measure things is start out about thinking about the use cases that are tied to the business value that you want to create for your company. So for retailers, it could be about increasing revenue by making sure the experience they provide to their customer is so much personalized that the customer feels that, okay, wait a second, this company cares about me, they understand me, and I want to be loyal here. I have loyalty, for example, like rewarding the customer and things like this. So for this is a very good use case, whether like customer loyalty in hospitality, like if you go to Marriott, people care about loyalty. If you're at a retailer, product recommendation could be a use case. So a clear action that you could take is to start defining your AI use cases. That's one. The second is the data readiness. Is your data ready to be able to achieve this? Because I cannot give you personalized product recommendation if I don't have your purchase history, I don't have your click rate, I don't have your search history. Of course, in the realm of protecting information, like you're not really micro monitoring me like a police state, but really, uh, common things that I'm giving to you as a consumer, you need to make sure is your data ready. So those are two things. Okay. The third thing that I see is in order to make sure everybody who's going to start working on these top two things, they need to understand what policies and standards that you need to have to be compliant with regulation. Because of course you could innovate all day long, but you have, as a company, you're answerable to your stakeholders. You have responsibility to protect my rights, my data. So make sure that once your data is ready, you need to have conformance with policy. So this is my measurable takeaways for anybody listening here. Sorry, it's a long-winded answer, but hopefully that helps.
No, yeah, totally agree with you. And I think that something that it's really relevant is that we need to take a lot of cares about the data quality. And of course, as you mentioned, to keep well aligned with the business goal that we're chasing. So that will be something crucial for everyone, right? So,
Yep.
okay, Cash, actually, I don't have more questions right now. I think that this presentation was very clear, very useful with a lot of insightful. So I just want to say you thank you. I appreciate your time and all your knowledge that you are sharing with us, and hopefully we can do some more things together in the near future. So I don't know if you want to share some specific message or to close with some phrase with. to us?
Yeah, absolutely. So for anybody listening here, of course, I enjoyed being here, and I will bring up more topics. So if you have any specific topics that you like us to share, this is something that I could come and share on with this forum. But of course, if you want to stay in touch more, I recommend you could also join me at the CDO Masterclass, which is something is a key program that I run. I'll paste the link in the chat if you can, Daniel. I think this is something that you could join and be here. Yeah. So I just pasted the link, but I don't think I could paste for everybody in the chat. But feel free to join me at the CDO Masterclass homepage, and this is where I will be sharing a lot of different insights for everybody. Okay.
For
Thank you so
sure.
much for having me here.
For sure. Thank you. We already shared with the audience, and well, we appreciate your time, Cash, and thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. Always a pleasure, Daniel.
Thank you. Have a good one. Joy.